And good evening and welcome to City Focus. I'm Marty Olsen, your host, and I'm delighted to welcome back to the program my good friend and fellow Republican, Kat Goulart, who is the chair of the New London Republican Town Committee. So, Kat, welcome back.
Thank you for having me, Marty. I feel like it's been a while since I've been out and about.
Well, you've been a busy gal, and I must offer you kudos that since you've assumed the chair in this new term in particular, the activity level within the town committee has been amped up quite a bit. You've had a successful fundraiser a few months ago. We had tremendous regional support and state support. And Gina Phillips was very instrumental in helping pull that off.
Oh, she sure was.
She's a new member on the town committee. She's been a ball of fire.
Oh, she really has. She really has. I could not have done really anything that we've done this last year or so without Gina's help. She is a go-getter. As a business owner, she really thinks outside the box, and I wish that I had met Gina a decade or two ago, because the way that she shakes things loose from my brain also, having been in business for myself for a couple of decades almost now, I just love it. I love to get tete-a-tete with her and get things going. Having your experience is invaluable as well. Melissa Ford, I'm sure a lot of folks know Melissa. It's Tommy Major's daughter. She is wonderful with her ideas that she thinks of, and
well connected in the community.
Oh, absolutely, and it really takes all types. We need thinkers, we need doers, we need workers, we need people that are well connected to the community, folks who just will get all different kinds of things done, and we've got an amazing team. We are small, but we are mighty, and I'm really, really excited.
Yeah. And this coming fall, in the odd year, we do have municipal elections. So in November, there'll be City Council, Board of Education, and this is also the mayor is up for election.
It sure is.
And to the best of my knowledge, the incumbent is planning to run for a third term, and from the Democratic side, and we have a gal who's expressing strong interest in seeking the office, and beloved Grace Carter, who I had as a guest here last week, and she was, I thought, put on, she was very articulate in terms of her desires to run and her background and how she's gotten from where she came from to where she is.
Oh, yes. Beloved has great ideas for the city. She has a lot of history in the city. She has several children. Probably her most well-known child is Matt Rollins, basketball star from the mid and late 80s in New London. Very tall young man as well.
He's 6'8", 6'9". He's a very, very big man.
Yes, he is. And
nice guy.
He is. He's wonderful, and he's got a wonderful family. They've overcome a lot. They've had some tragedy in recent years, and they have stuck and stayed, and it's wonderful to see that Beloved had she left New London for a little while to support her family. She had a daughter that went through some things, and now she's back, and she wants to put her heart into service. She runs the only free breakfast program, and I hope she spoke about that when she was on your show in New London.
Well, that's where I met her a number of years ago, was at the church across the street from City Hall, out of their kitchen, and you might call it their general purpose room. They have morning breakfast, and that had been run. Got Jim Stidfol and others were responsible for that for the longest time, and the Kiwanis Club got involved with it for a period of time, and then that group kind of pulled back, and Beloved moved in, and she's been, I think, on top of that for a number of years now. And and I didn't know this, but I mean, she has a degree from Johnson & Wales in culinary arts with baking. Her kind of, you might call it her major.
Oh, that's amazing.
So she's comfortable in the kitchen.
That's great. See, now I want to go down for some breakfast.
So she knows what she's doing in there, and you know, and I admire her because, I mean, as she noted on the air, she was from a large family. She actually dropped out of New London High her senior year. She was slated to graduate in '69, and at the age of 17, she got married and dropped out. And a number of years later, she earned her GED and then went to college and got a degree. And folks who do it as an adult, I think that's special.
Oh, absolutely. Some of the most brilliant and most accomplished people that I have met in my few years walking this earth didn't finish school in a traditional manner. A dear friend of mine graduated college as valedictorian and was homeschooled by her father, who didn't get but a 4th grade education. And so to be, you know, homeschooled by someone with a 4th grade education and graduate valedictorian from your college is amazing. And I'm not in any way knocking traditional education, but that speaks volumes to be able to educate yourself in a different way so that you can educate your children. You know, I have also another very, very good friend who just lived in a community where it was a farming community. You turned 16, you didn't go to school anymore, and you just went to work on the farm. Owns many, many businesses, very successful, and is poised to sell those businesses and make tens of millions of dollars for himself and his family. I love those kinds of stories, and Beloved, I think, fits right inside of that, where, you know, she kind of went the non-traditional route, which, as we know, is, you know, usually a lot more difficult. She's learned some things, she's lived some life, and wants to put that to good use in her community.
Yeah. She's certainly an advocate now to give back to the community. I mean, she gives back anyway.
Oh, absolutely.
But she's looking now, and politics will be a new adventure, I'll put it that way, for her, because she has not run for office before.
Right.
And so to step up to the plate and seek to run for the top job in the city, you know, it takes a little bit of chutzpah. You know?
It sure does.
And you know, listening to her, I mean, I think that, I mean, there's certainly room to learn, and you know, I have suggested to her, so, you know, have fun, meet as many people as you can. You're going to learn a lot, or you should learn a lot, and you'll learn a lot more when you listen than when you talk.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And if I can say one thing about Beloved, and I've met a lot of politicians or would-be politicians in my day, as have you. The one thing that I anyway always press people on is their motive. And you can't do that directly. You just ask them questions and listen to them speak. They'll get around to it eventually. Why is someone doing something? Do they want to run for office for them? Or do they want to do it for the greater good because they want to help the city, the state, the country, whatever you know,
they're running for.
Whatever they're running for. I do not think you will find anyone who will question Beloved's motive, that she just wants good for the residents of New London and that she wants to see the city be left off in a better state in the 4 years that she will be mayor than the moment that she started. And that kind of pure motive and that pure intent, you can't learn that. That comes from in here.
Yeah, well, I mean, there were 3 topics that she honed in on when she was on the program that were of great importance, and I'm sure there are many others. But and that one was the quality of education in our community and the importance of the school district in terms of everything, in terms of for our children, but in terms of economic development. You're not going to, to get good people coming into the community, you need to have, with families anyway, middle-class families, you need a quality education system. And even since the city made the decision to buy into the magnet school program roughly a dozen years ago, we're still scraping our knuckles at the bottom of the state in terms of academic performance.
Absolutely.
And that was supposed to have been corrected with this major modification. So it hasn't been working. And, why would folks from out of our district send their children into a district that's not performing well, as well as move into the town? So, I mean, that's a big issue. And I think that she's right to be looking at that as a major consideration. It may not be directly under the auspice of the mayor, but the mayor is the face and voice of the community.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, and people get very upset when we, when you say something about the education in New London not being up to snuff. But facts are facts. Our graduation rate is lower. The coursework even is less in New London, less challenging than it is in surrounding areas. And we know this because of, the test scores that are coming in, the literal graduation rates that, in comparison to surrounding communities. And also families are very open to speaking about, the coursework and the homework and things like that from when they transfer their students or when they move out into and get their kids into different school systems or when they move into New London from different school systems. And until and unless we're willing to have an honest conversation about that, nothing will ever change. And if we're always getting kind of internally offended and saying, no, that's not right, don't say anything bad about New London, it's not going to change. And so I think that's a really, really important conversation of, we can admit what the faults are.
Well, you can't correct them unless you own up to them.
Absolutely, and that's the same with anything in life, whether it's, health issues or money issues or anything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, John Russell, over the course of time, when he has run for office, he has always brought up the perception of the community, and not just in education, but across the board. And he would argue that we have a perception problem, and I think that's accurate. I mean, New London is not Mystic. We're not Newport. We are. I think gritty is not a. I think it's a good term to describe London. I mean, we're. This is. We're not a seaport town that's affluent. We are a pretty broad mix of all kinds of folks.
That's accurate.
But back to Beloved. I mean, she also brought up the issue of public safety and the need for more police. And I had a conversation just within the last day or two where the state has voted to change the pension for police, and we're going to start seeing massive retirements because people want to get out while they can protect their pensions. And you're having a hard enough time keeping our force where it is now, never mind having a massive exit or exodus all at once.
Absolutely.
Because of actions taken in Hartford, of which our retired police officer, Nolan, supported. Again, he votes against his own, against the police. It's amazing. It blows my mind where this guy's coming from.
Well, how much time do you have? We could use the whole rest of the show talking about those votes.
I would rather be more proactive and promote what we're doing.
Absolutely.
But I'll tell you, and it's interesting. I don't know if you listen to Lee Elsey, but I mean, on Wednesday mornings he has Todd Lidge on for half an hour at 7 o'clock, and Todd has been holds barred in terms of his criticism of the city and the leadership. Although he does give Passero a pass, but he goes after the council tooth and nail. I don't quite understand that because giving Passero a pass. I mean, but
right.
But he's very, very strong in his opinions. And Beloved also brought up another, I think, important topic, is Mayor Passero has been gambling heavily in relation to with housing on much of our remaining urban redevelopment sites. Fort Trumbull, Parcel J on Bank Street, and these are all high-end apartments. And you don't hear the word gentrification very much, but in essence, this is what it is, because the local folks can't afford to move into these places.
Right. Well, so I sat on the former Economic Development Commission, which has now been rebuilt as the Cultural District Commission, but it essentially is sort of functioning in the same manner. In that meeting, in one of the last meetings that we had, and that was before, it was actually right around the time that of the groundbreaking at the apartment building that now stands on Parcel J, right in front of Shaw's Cove there. The Economic Development Director, Felix Reyes, used the word gentrification in that meeting. He said, "We are gentrifying downtown." I have not heard that word used publicly because it's a harsh word that folks don't want to hear. But I think it's important to understand that that is, in fact, what this administration is doing. He went on to talk about how, the city needs it, and what I'm about to say is a fact. All cities need this. A mix of ready-to-move-into houses and fixer-uppers. A good mix of apartments and, freestanding homes. A good mix of above income, below, or above market rate, at market rate, and below market rate housing, whether it is, houses or apartments. And those are all things that are true. And so where he was speaking on gentrifying New London was the administration felt that the city of New London had too many things that were below market rate, fixer-uppers, those sorts of things, and wanted to increase the amount of apartments, very specifically, that were above market rate, and partially to cater to the job boom that everyone knew was coming at Electric Boat, and target those employees and get them to stick and stay here instead of coming in for the day and then leaving for the day and taking their money with them.
And I think that argument has holes in it, in that New London, before these apartment buildings have been built, has had a disproportionate amount of multifamily housing. The proportion of rentals versus single-family homes is skewed. It's actually inverse of what it should be.
I absolutely agree.
So adding more apartments isn't helping that, it's exacerbating that.
I agree.
And the buildings that are going up, whether it's Parcel J, the one on Howard Street, there's one planned in the Fort area itself, the container box apartments on Bank Street, they're currently going up, the 5-story deal. The one that was built at the foot of Mansfield Road, and there's a new one being built adjacent to that off of Gardner Avenue.
Yep.
These are all smaller units. I mean, they're one bedrooms, efficiencies. So you're not bringing in families, you're bringing in singles, couples, empty nesters. And the backbone of a community is your family.
Absolutely.
I mean, who's going to be your Little League coaches and your scout leaders, and who's going to be running your PTAs? It's not going to be grandma and grandpa, and the singles aren't going to do it because they don't have kids in the system.
Right.
So and I think it creates an environment that's also very transient. Apartments, it's easy to get out of. You're there a year, you got your lease, it's gone. Yeah, well, I think I'm going to go to Boston. I've got a new job, and I'm out of here. They're not vested in the community.
Oh, absolutely. And it does also adversely affect our, the tax base as well. When I believe every single one of the developments that you mentioned received a tax break of some sort, and they were all pretty hefty.
And that's not good. I mean, it's again
not.
like New London has got no value. We've got to give things away.
Absolutely.
In order to get people to do anything, and that doesn't speak well of our own community.
Absolutely. And then, what ends up happening is because it's about a 50-50 split. I mean, we can split hairs about whether it's 47% or 48% or 46% that's non-taxable in the city, but it's about 50-50. And so when you have half of the people paying for all of the services and the entire budget, and you're just adding more people who aren't paying and more developments that aren't paying, that's a bigger strain on that half that is. And it's just getting worse and worse. And I know that our current administration, and Pastor Rowe has for the last several years said, oh, but I didn't raise your taxes. Oh, but I didn't raise your taxes. The mill rate's been steady, but it's been a bit of a shell game.
It's a big shell game.
It's a big, being kind about it.
We've had a reevaluation in there. There's been a giant influx of federal and state money,
Right.
COVID. So you have third-party money coming in here that's balancing the budget. The budget's growing.
Oh, it is, absolutely.
It's not like the budget's flat. Budgets like this, and they're able to counteract that with like I say, with outside funds.
Right.
And the Democrats in Hartford as well as Washington are taking care of it. I mean, it's certainly not due to fiscal responsibility.
Right. And when that dries up, I shudder to think what will happen to the mill rate. We are already one of the highest in the area, and you get a lot less house for a lot more money than you do in surrounding communities. It's a very, very dangerous game that city administration's been playing.
Yeah. I mean, when the Fort Trumbull was initiated, and even before that, when you had Harbor Towers as well as Shaw's Landing developed, and Shaw's Landing was actually a three-phase project, and I've only gotten one of the three phases. I mean, the desire at that time was to build condominiums because you own your condominium.
Right.
There's home ownership involved. Again, you're back to a vested interest, which the apartment dwellers don't have. And that has gone 180 degrees where we are now looking at it's all apartments. There's no condos. And again, I worry about the transient population or the young folks. If it's a small unit, you've got a single person or a couple, and then if they get attached and when children come along, what are they going to do? Are they going to stay and gamble on our system, or are they going to relocate or send their kids to private schools? These are some of the decisions that have to be made.
Right, absolutely. And a lot of what's happening with EB in particular is the employees are actually on contract. And they're contractors and they're stationed or whatever the proper word is here in New London for maybe 2 or 3 years. They're not registering to vote, because they're still registered to vote in their home state. They're not becoming a meaningful part of the community in any way. And so, that word transient really is transcendent because it is so impactful. If someone is not intending to stay in the community and they know it, they're not settling, they're not establishing roots, and they're not becoming a part of our community in any way at all. But they're still using the services and they're still doing the things, and that really is detrimental to the city.
And we're also not seeing any commercial activity in the central business district in relation to filling of any of the storefronts. I mean, it's still, the vacancy rate down there is abhorrent. We do have a call.
Perfect.
Okay. Good evening, and you're on the air.
Hey, Marty. Hey, Kat. Real quick comment when you were talking about mill rates earlier.
Yes.
the decrease since he's been in the last 4 years, where he keeps saying, oh, I haven't raised the taxes, I haven't raised the mill rate. That may be so true, but for those of us that are homeowners and pay water bills, ever since the stormwater fee's been tacked onto your water bill, it's been an offset. Another thing they don't talk about, too, is your automotive. Used vehicles, now Blue Book, even though the state or Lamont froze or made it universal throughout Connecticut, your mill rate on cars, he didn't tell the cities, well, that doesn't mean you can't raise the appraised value on used vehicles in order to, if he was so concerned about keeping things down, he wouldn't have taken a 48% increase in his salary. The council wouldn't have, I think combined now they're like at $32,000 for their stipend. The last increase gives to the president $6,500, the pro temp $6,000, and each one of the other councilors are either at $500 or $5,500. That's more money than we give the senior center every year.
Well, I'll tell you, when I first got elected back in the 1980s, the stipend for council was $600 a year.
Yeah.
Wow.
The last two councils have increased their stipend 4 times.
Well, it was raised when I was last on council, as well as the mayor's salary, and I voted against both of those at that time. But I was in the minority position.
I wish you were back there, Marty.
Well,
all right. Thank you.
Well, thank you for calling, and we appreciate your comments. And there's a gentleman who's very concerned about our community.
No, absolutely, as well he should. What's interesting about the mayor's salary, so the new increase that was voted in, so the next mayor will receive $160,000 a year. The 2020 census reported that the median income of in New London was $24,000 and change. I can't remember the exact number, but it was $24,000 and change annually. When I compared the two, the mayor's salary of New London is 7.4 times the average or the median income of the average New Londoner, and that just doesn't sit right with me. To increase that many times in a city with the constituency that we have, why? And I'm not asking you, because I know you feel the same as I do about it, just the proverbial why.
Well, I mean, when the position was created, the salary initially was $78,000.
That's correct.
So it's now will be more than doubled.
Yes, I think it went
in a dozen years. And at that time, we had an abundance of candidates seeking the office. It hasn't been a case of a low salary keeping people from wanting the job. People have run for it on both parties, and there's been third parties and petitioning candidates. I mean, so it's the need for this inflated salary is really repugnant.
It is. The phrase for serving in a political office is public service. It's not getting rich. It's public service. And the arguments made for the raise in salary was, oh, well, it's a full-time job, it's 24/7, it's this, it's that. But at the end of the day, it is public service. And to go from, it's, how many years has it been a decade, I think, that we've had the strong mayor form of government?
This will be 12 years at this election.
Okay, so 12 years to go from 78 to $160,000 is mind-boggling and highly, highly inappropriate.
Yeah. Well, and this is a good example of some of the negativity that can occur when you have a one-party town.
Absolutely.
And there's no pushback and no resistance, and they just do whatever the hell they want. And there's nobody there to question it. And the news outlets and the Day, for better or worse, is still the big the elephant in the room. They're the big paper in the region that nobody's asking the questions. They're not getting any pushback. The council doesn't push back against the mayor. this council in particular.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's like running a little fiefdom. And it's not good for the community. It's not healthy. There's no discussion. And the community is not informed. And I think that has also been breeding a high level of apathy.
Oh, it has, absolutely. When you speak to people out in the community, I'm sure your experience is much the same as mine. You talk to people about the important issues, when the budget comes up, or when Harbor School they just voted to close Harbor School. And there's all of these really big important issues on the council and on the Board of Ed. And people just kind of throw their hands up and they say, I'm one person, what can I do? And so then they go on about their lives and they just let the things happen. And it sort of is the tail wagging the dog, and that's how we've gotten in this position. And Passero himself, I will tell this story until the day I am 6 feet under, made a joke with a microphone in his face like he thought he was a comedian, saying, oh, the Republicans cry about minority party rules. They can't change, so they want to change they can't win, so they want to change the rules of the game. And, the whole Democratic Town Committee crowd laughed. It was at his nomination acceptance speech. It's not funny. It wouldn't be funny if it were all Republicans running everything. It wouldn't be funny if it were all Green Party, if it were all communists, or now that it's all Democrats. You need balance, even if it is only a singular voice. There is a reason that the state of Connecticut has minority party rule. I don't care that New London is grandfathered into it. They are in defiance of it. It is not right. But do you expect the team that's running the ball to give up control?
They've got no incentive to change it.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And it is a gross disservice to everyone in the city of New London. They are not serving their own registered party voters well. They're certainly not serving the unaffiliated voters well. And they're not serving Republicans, Greens, and everybody else. It is a gross disservice to the entire city.
Well, as noted, we do have municipal elections coming up this November, and actually next month, and about a month from now. Both parties will be nominating candidates for these offices. So I'm sure that you're putting out a clarion call to get people who would like to stand up and run for the city council and the school board. And whether or not we have full slate or not, the key is that we have people running, and hopefully we'll get some quality candidates that will put up a good challenge.
Yes, absolutely. That is always the name of the game, and that was the name of the game for us 2 years ago as well, is to find people who are dedicated and find people who are interested in helping New London. I don't care if we run, 7 council, 7 Board of Ed, and a mayor. I would love to have 15 full well-qualified, super interested people who had tons of time to do it. But if we have, 5 council, 5 Board of Ed, and a mayor, that's great as well, because we need, as the New London RTC, to offer quality to the community and not just 7 baked potatoes whose name we can put on a line. We want people who care about the community and have a good heart for service and want to do the right thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and as we speak right now, we do have a candidate for council who's Aaron Ide, who ran 2 years ago.
Yes.
And congratulations to he and his wife. They've got a new member of their family.
Yes, little baby Miriam, and she's adorable.
But he ran 2 years ago, and he's an engineer at Electric Boat. He's a very, very sharp young man, and one of the, I think he's one of these guys that, if elected, would be doing a terrific job. The key is to get elected.
Yes.
But I mean, for those folks out there who may not know Aaron, I think he's well worth reaching out to and finding out about him. He's got good ideas. He's got a good handle on the issues of the day and what's going on, and he speaks to you, not at you.
Oh, absolutely. He is a fantastic listener. He has a good grasp on the issues. very well learned. I believe that every time he gets a free moment, he picks up a book or a newspaper as opposed to his cell phone like the rest of us. He has this wealth of knowledge unlike anyone his age I've ever seen. I believe he's about 5 years younger than me, so that would put him probably mid-30s. He is incredibly intelligent, very articulate, and he really, really cares about the city. And I don't care that he had a photo in a space helmet on his material last time. He's unique, and it showed his personality. And he also builds scale airplanes. So Aaron, I think as you mentioned, is an engineer. He does scale airplanes that you can actually fly, of like World War II fighters and bombers and that sort of thing.
Well, he flies. I mean, he
flies. He has his pilot's license. So I hope that he does something really cool this year, like maybe with a fighter jet or a bomber or something cool. I'm looking forward to seeing something very unique from him on his material this year.
But he reminds me a little bit of a former Republican counselor, Adam Spracacci, in terms of his intellect and his preparation and what he... and I don't know anybody who remembers Adam on council who never had nothing but high regard and respect for his efforts and his preparation and intellect, and I think Aaron fits that mold. So you're supporting somebody who is almost like a mirror image, and I think that speaks well.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I think of that every time I see Aaron crunch some numbers or talk about the budget or look at percentages on things. He really can see big picture and break it down in a really, really relatable way. Very likely because they both are engineers and they have engineer brain. But it's incredible the way that they can see data. Aaron would be invaluable on the council when it comes to balancing the budget and trimming the fat and all of the very boring things that Republicans talk about. He would be amazing doing that, and I really, really hope he gets a shot to do it this year.
Yeah. And also, folks, for anybody out there who's watching, and I'm anticipating this program will be airing sometime later this evening or tomorrow on YouTube. And if we get that folks, if they're interested in considering running for office or seeking a nomination to run for any of the offices, whether it be Board of Ed, council, or mayor, even though we have a candidate. I mean, if somebody has got a fire in the belly, I mean, it's those nominations being made next month is to contact you as the chair of the party. And so for those folks who would like to consider that, how would they reach you?
Well, two ways, and I'm not shy. Everybody has my number anyway. So go ahead and email me. My official email is nlgopchair@gmail.com, or call me. My cell phone number, can I give my phone number on the air?
Why
I think
not?
I can. It's 860-910-7917. So roll it back if you're watching YouTube. So again, the email is short for New London, nlgopchair@gmail.com. And the cell phone is 860-910-7917. Please don't sign me up for spam, though. I get enough of that already. But we are always interested in anyone, even if you just want to ask questions about how it works, what you might have to do.
Or just to get involved.
Or just to get involved. We're always looking for people that want to work on other folks' campaigns or just sit in and give their ideas, that sort of thing. We nominate candidates on Tuesday, July the 18th is our nomination meeting. We would love to talk to you before then, so it's not, hey, surprise, I want to run for office, because we will have a slate of candidates to present to the town committee before then. So, if you're interested, reach out, let me know, and I would love to have a conversation with you.
Sounds good. And if you're interested in sharing this particular program or any of City Focus, looking back at a number of programs and looking forward, if you go to YouTube and search YouTube, Marty Olsen, Olsen, City Focus, SEC-TV, you can pick up these programs. And I want to thank Drew Wilson here at the studio, who does a great job getting these things taken care of. And thank you, Drew. So I think that's important, too, that we're expanding our visibility here.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think that, we're beyond just the confines of cable television.
Oh, the internet has an infinite reach, so it's really good.
So I think that's good stuff. Next week I have Mike France scheduled to come in, and he is a weekly regular on Lee Elsey's radio program, but he's a long-time member of the House of Representatives in Hartford from Ledyard, and he he ran for not state rep, but Congress. I mean, he ran for Congress a year ago, and he decided to throw his hat back in the ring, and he's actively campaigning, and I think he's a dynamite candidate, and I think folks, he has to make an effort to get out and touch people, and I know he's working very, very hard. But if you out there have an opportunity to meet this gentleman, if you haven't done so, I think it's worth your while to see that we're getting, I think, a much better representative than we're currently getting with somebody who's just basically following the Democratic Party line.
Oh, we have a lot of that, but Mike is fantastic, and he's engaging, and he has a lot to say about a lot, but he listens, and he takes great feedback, and he really cares about what it is that we care about in our community and what we want to see happen in D.C., and I think that's super important.
Yeah, I mean, he's retired Navy. He's the sub commander, so he's in the know in relation to what we need to do with submarines. It's just not a matter of backslapping outside the gate, which we get a lot of from the current incumbent. Oh, yeah. He knows the business, and I think that, again, you need to take the time to listen to him, hear him out, and he's a wealth of knowledge on a multitude of issues. And he's available and accessible, I might add.
Oh, he is. He is, absolutely. Well, that'll be a great show next week.
Yeah, I mean, he's not hiding in his basement trying to run a campaign from under the table. I mean, he's out there, and for those who may not know, but the 2nd Congressional District is geographically huge. I mean, it's basically all of eastern Connecticut, from the Long Island Sound to the Mass border, Rhode Island, almost to the Connecticut River. I mean, it's all of eastern Connecticut. So it's a big area to traverse. I might add that, I mean, when you had the fundraising party a few months ago, and I wanted to acknowledge and applaud because you had a significant amount of state Republican leaders that were there, candidates, former candidates. Heather Summers was there, Mike was there, gentleman who ran for the Secretary of the State was there. You had folks from Montville, we had folks from Waterford. I mean, it was an eclectic mix, and I thought it was a good, strong showing and regional support for our town committee and London Republicans.
Well, I thought we had a great time. And you know, the one thing I realized is, and someone told me this on the way here, if you don't ask, the answer is always no.
That's true.
And, you know, for quite some time, I think New London hasn't been asking. And what I found was that people were really excited to come hang out with us and talk politics and see what we're doing. We always go to everybody else's things, so why not invite people on over to, you know, come hang out with us? And what we are doing here from New London is working collaboratively with State Central, with CTGOP, with other surrounding areas. We have a shared state representative district. We have a shared congressional district. We have a shared state senate district. why are we working singularly within our own municipalities? We should all be working together. Somebody has to take the first step. So we did. And we said, hey, let's get together and have a fun social event. Also make it a fundraiser. And we've been doing other things. We just had...
Well, this is this past weekend. The New England Republicans went up north a couple of communities to Montville and participated in an event up there.
We did. We went to the Montville Carnival. That was also a fundraiser for us. We sold kettle corn. A little bit damp weather. We got some rain on Friday and Saturday, so we had some sticky kettle corn there. But we raised quite a bit of money for the upcoming municipal elections, which was great. We got some of our town committee members up there, so we had some fun, took some photos. Found out that one of our members is a bit of a carnival barker, so that was fun. We got to work with the Montville RTC, which was right across from us, and the Montville Democrats were there as well. But we met a bunch of really fun local businesses, some not so local. There were folks from New Britain there as well. But people from New London came up. There were people from all kinds of surrounding communities. We had a great time, and just hanging out and slinging popcorn. But it's things like that outside the box. We can make money, and you can do it the boring way and just, beg people for money and, hey, will you give me some money? Or you can get out and do something a little bit fun and be a part of the community. So, these are things we're doing now.
Now, also with SailFest coming up, there'll be a presence of the Republicans at SailFest, won't there? Coming
Yes.
up in July. That's a two-day event this year on Saturday and Sunday.
Yes. Yep. So
after the 4th of July.
Yes, it's July 8th and 9th, so that's Saturday and Sunday. We will be at SailFest as well, and it will be a collaboration with Waterford, Montville, and New London Republicans. We'll be doing kettle corn again, so we'll have our fancy machine out, all the popcorn all packed and fun and ready to go. Bottled water, because I'm sure it'll be nice and hot that day, fingers crossed, hot and sunny, because nobody likes a rainy SailFest. And we will be there the whole weekend, and we'll have some candidates coming and going as they please. Rather than just standing there and passing out materials, and that's fun. We're politicians. We like doing that thing, those sorts of things, but also engaging in a fun way, and having some snacks is fun too. So we'll be at SailFest. Selling kettle corn, and the candidates and would-be candidates, hopeful candidates, will be there as well. And I'm not sure where we will be set up. Probably smack in the middle with all the other food vendors.
Well, recently I had Barbara Neff on the program, and because of the construction on the waterfront, the SailFest is basically going to be primarily on Bank Street. There will not be a waterfront presence.
Okay.
And instead of running 3 stages, they'll only have a stage down at the Parade Plaza. So I anticipate that would be located someplace on Bank Street.
Okay.
I don't get the impression they're going to be doing too much off on side streets or anything too tangential. So
right.
Well, it should be a good opportunity for interested people in the region to meet up with some folks and shake hands and shoot the breeze and air out your gripes, or share what you think we can do to improve our lot here in Southeastern Connecticut.
Oh, absolutely. Feedback is the name of the game. We had so many great conversations in Montville. A couple people from New London had some things that they wanted to talk about, that, hey, I saw this in this town, and we don't do this in New London, and I think we should do this. At the end of the day, I don't think that people realize, even if you're not running for a political office, like a council or board of ed or mayor, Republican town committee members are elected officials. We do represent a constituency of Republicans, and so people can come to us and speak with us about those things, and we can communicate those to people. So I think it's important that we are active members of the community and out speaking with people and getting that really valuable information and helping them go here for that thing they have a concern about, or go there for that thing they have a concern about.
Very good. Well, we're getting down to our last moment or two. Is there anything that you'd like to share with the masses that perhaps we haven't touched on here so far?
Very quickly, big issue, but I'll sum it up in one word. The New London City Council had better not have a meeting on Juneteenth next year. We can talk about that at length another time, but it was a huge disappointment, and I am very glad that the Day wrote an article about it.
Very good. Well, with that, folks, you've been watching City Focus, and thank you for tuning in. I want to thank Kat for coming in and sharing an hour with me here on the set, and we'll see you next week. Mike France will be sitting in the guest chair. So with that, we'll say good night and see you next week. Good night.